Our anxiety is thrown into panic mode when someone we care about informs us they don't want to be in the relationship anymore. Instinctively, we try to hold on tighter, and our fear of abandonment drives us to do things that, looking back now, were a little embarrassing at times. But when someone who has a personality disorder abruptly pulls away, you do things that are out of character, but you don't internalize it that way. Instead, you tell yourself, of course that's why they left me. I'm such a weak idiot. And we continue to feel like the person who's not good enough, even though the one who discarded you, for whatever reason, can't seem to stay away. Well, not for very long. They'll wait a month and send you a breadcrumb text. They'll wish you a happy birthday. They orbit your social media, watch your stories. They might even still agree to plans with you. Maybe they're still sleeping with you, and all the while they're picking intermittent fights as an excuse to disappear one more time, telling you that you are the entire reason your relationship fell apart. It's all your fault. Well, I've come out on the other side of this kind of gross setup, and I'm here to tell you that that's not true. I'm also here to warn you that when a people pleaser gets entangled with someone who's okay with using people, the relationship that unfolds can destroy your sense of self. You don't know where you stand, and that's why the breakup is a disaster too, because it never seems to be the final breakup. Now, I have a question from a man who I'm going to call Jason, who went through a breakup with a fearful, avoidant woman who, even though she dumped him, still continues to come in and out of his life. She's completely entitled to access. She's jerking him around. So many people with kind hearts struggle to let go and close the door on people that they care about, even if those people are emotionally destroying them. So let's see what the heck got Jason into this mess and how we can help him out today. And it all starts right now. Okay, let's get into Jason's question. He writes, "Greetings, Maria. I dated a beautiful woman who I will call Brittany. I'm 39. Brittany is 34, and this relationship, if you can call it that, has been going off and on for a little over 2 years. Whenever we were off, it meant she had left me. But whenever we were back on, after a few weeks, she would decide to come back on her own. But whenever she would leave, I would beg, plead, chase, but she would totally disregard my messages. She'd leave them on read, stonewall me, or go radio silence for a few weeks. But then she would send me a breadcrumbing text, and inevitably we would always get back together. I would do everything I could think of to be supportive, and things would be fine. Until they were not. I know she's had a lot of trauma from family growing up, and she's also told me stories of her narcissistic ex-boyfriends. After learning these things, I always tried to be extra sensitive to her needs. We had a deep connection, and we were planning a future together. She would tell me that no one had ever respected her the way that I have. However, after a few good months, she would always begin to become distant, pull away, and then she would flip everything and say I was the one who was inconsistent, and she would inevitably discard me once again and leave. The last time she came back, I suggested that we go to therapy, but she refuses. She tells me that I just need to listen to her, and all a therapist would do was tell me the exact same thing. After this most recent breakup, Brittany said it was all because I'm not there for her emotionally. So I asked her to specifically tell me what it is I can do to help her feel safe. And she replied that I should just know, because that's the bare minimum. I have become so emotionally exhausted that I finally had to block her on social media, and this infuriated her. I know this relationship is not good for me, although I do feel bad I couldn't be there for her in the way that she needed me to. I only want to learn from this and share my experience from anyone else who can learn from it also. Any insight you could give me is much appreciated." Well, Jason, I'd first like to say that I am so sorry you are going through all of this, and I'm glad you reached out. So let's go over a few points that you made throughout the letter. I first want to go over what you said about how after a few months, she always becomes distant, and then she flips everything and she starts to throw it in your face that you have been inconsistent. But that sounds to me like she's projecting, because if everything that you're saying in your letter is accurate, it sounds like you have been consistently loving her. You have consistently been there for her whenever she comes back. She's the one who's flitting in and out of this relationship. She's the one who's being emotionally and physically inconsistent, although there's clearly a pattern of behavior. And Brittany says things like, you just need to listen to me. But it sounds like you were listening to her. You know about her past. You've tried to be more sensitive. But I will say, Jason, there is a time where you're not listening to her. And that time comes around whenever she tells you that she does not want the relationship, and you continue to beg and chase instead of allowing her the dignity to make her own mistakes. And I do use the word mistake because if there wasn't some part of her that deep down didn't think the breakup was a mistake, she wouldn't keep coming back. She wouldn't do that. She would break up with you. She'd be satisfied with her decision. She would know 100% it was the right decision, and you'd never hear from her again. Now, sometimes with avoidant people, especially dismissive avoidants, even if you never hear from them again, that does not mean they don't regret the breakup. They have a lot of fear holding them back from reaching out to you. But I believe in this instance, where it sounds like more of a fearful avoidant woman, it sounds like she doesn't have good control when it comes to regulating her own emotions. And that's why she stonewalls you, and then she honeymoons you, and then she discards you, and then she honeymoons you. Her emotions are just up and down. She doesn't have a lot of emotional self-control. And I do believe there is a part of her that does feel connected to you. She probably feels safe with you, and that's why she keeps coming back. But I don't think she does have a lot of control over her emotions. I believe she lets her emotions jerk her decisions around the same way that she's jerking you around too. You're the collateral damage. You're caught in the crossfire of this woman's indecisiveness, and that's not fair to you. You also said that after this most recent breakup, Brittany blamed you, saying that the whole reason she has to leave is because you're not there for her emotionally. Well, people like Brittany, it will never be enough. And until she's willing to work on some things or face some hard truths about herself, you could twist yourself into the most emotionally available person out there. But because you aren't really her problem, meaning you didn't cause her past trauma, so since you aren't her core problem, you also cannot be her solution. Now, you can show her what love is. You can model that for her. But it's going to be up to Brittany whether or not she can even accept it. And it doesn't sound like at this time in her life she can even handle healthy love from someone who just wants to be with her. She's clearly not even open to staying with you and working on things during her emotional spirals. She just runs away. And she feels comfortable doing that because no matter what she tells you, no matter how mean she is in the moment, in the back of her mind, she knows she can come back. You also say in your letter that you have specifically asked her what you could do to help her feel safe. And all she does is reply, Jason, you should know that because it's the bare minimum. Oh my gosh, this whole bare minimum. Jason, can I please clarify this one thing to you with this bare minimum trend? Being solely responsible for healing another human being's lifetime of past trauma is not the bare minimum. It's impossible. She's asking you to do something that is unreasonable, impossible, and it's something that only Brittany can do. So she's giving you this mission to heal her, but she's setting you up for failure. And isn't that convenient? Because now she can blame you for her leaving without having to take any accountability. She's saying, Jason, you're the reason I'm leaving because you failed to fix my entire past. We all find different healing methods to come to terms with our past trauma and move forward. And Brittany is the only person who can figure out what that's going to be for herself, because it is so personal. And no, she doesn't have to see a therapist. There's lots of ways you can do it. But Brittany's healing cannot be the sole responsibility of another human being. She's not open to seeing a therapist, and fine, you don't have to go to therapy. To each their own. And I would like to say that while therapy is great for some people, a therapist cannot magically fix anyone. And they can't magically force someone to love you in the way that you want them to love you. And I think sometimes we are hopeful that that will happen, but someone else healing doesn't always equal someone else wanting to love you. And we hope that this will happen, but it's only because we want the relationship so badly. But at the end of the day, people's emotions, they can't be controlled. Yet you guys might benefit from therapy, but only if Brittany wants the sessions as well. And because she's had a past history of trauma, and it doesn't sound like she's ever talked to a professional about it, she'd probably gain more benefit if she was proactive about seeking therapy. Therapy that begins to focus solely on her. And in doing this, she's acknowledging that it's something that she needs. Because Brittany is also stuck in a rut. I know that you're frustrated, but she's probably frustrated too. She's totally stuck in a loop of getting back together with you and discarding you. And I don't think it feels good for her either. But I don't think anything about being Brittany feels comfortable to her. And that's why she's using your company when she can no longer distract herself from her own life. In fact, I believe if we go out into the dating world with a lot of unhealed, like serious unhealed trauma, we can get into a lot of trouble when we begin to believe that this next person we just started dating is going to be the answer to the sadness and the emptiness that we weren't able to come to terms with before we started trying to date other people. Okay, Jason, now, this comment in your letter I thought was particularly telling because it really does show the essence of what it can be like to try to be in a relationship with a serious fearful avoidant. You said that you have become so emotionally exhausted that you had to block her on social media, and it infuriated her. Oh, well, for Brittany, you had to do what you had to do to protect yourself. And blocking Brittany was you finally listening to yourself and what your body needed. Jason, you were exhausted. And just like you have no control over her emotions, Brittany does not get to control what you do. It is no longer any of her business. She made her decision, and she has every right to her feelings. She has the right to be infuriated, but she does not have the right to control you. And although it is healthy to care about your girlfriend's feelings in a relationship, Brittany's not your girlfriend. She's made that very clear several times. She doesn't get a say in what you should or should not be exposed to on a daily basis on your own personal social media feed. It's none of her business. And if she dumps you but continues to feel entitled to have access to you and to dictate your actions and what you're exposed to, well, that's a big control issue that Brittany needs to get help for. And Jason, I want to say this to you, and I hope when I do, it's going to help bring you some clarity. Brittany is a woman who dumps you and then feels infuriated when you block her. Brittany is a woman who doesn't like that you made that decision for yourself, because the next time she has a weak moment where she feels a bit ambivalent about the breakup, she no longer has access to you. But Brittany is also a woman who is perfectly fine with the breakup until she's not, and she comes running back to you. Brittany does not know how to find her own center. She never learned how to do that. And she's using her control over you as a way to self-soothe, self-validate, and regulate her emotions. So yeah, she's absolutely going to freak out when that control is taken away. And I want to go back to one of the original statements you made in your letter. You said, "We had a deep connection. We were planning a future together. She would tell me that no one had ever respected her the way that I have." And you know what, Jason? I believe that that is true, but you have to respect yourself first. And by allowing her to jerk you around and come and go as she pleases, you're not relaying that you have any respect for yourself. And I believe that it would be hard for anyone to have respect for these actions in a relationship. And I'm not ragging on you. And I didn't make this video to rag on women. I mean, this is all human behavior. No matter who you're into, men or women, we're all capable of these dynamics. And Jason, I've let men come back and use me too much. I've done all the same stuff. And I know that you said you guys had talked about planning a future together, but what I would like to point out is it's going to be awfully hard to plan a future with someone that you can't even trust to stick around. But this is a problem. I mean, I'll bet when she first breaks up with you and then she comes back, God, I bet it feels great. Oh, she's back. Things are wonderful again. And now we're planning on having kids and we're planning on getting married. But you know, after she's bailed 3 or 4 or 5 times and she comes back and she starts to say all those wonderful things to you, I mean, what's going to start to happen is it's not really going to make you feel good anymore. You can't trust it anymore. And you're going to start to get a very sunken feeling down in your gut because how do you even believe what she says? So yeah, it is hard to plan a future with someone that you can't trust, Jason. You're getting jerked around, and we can't skirt past the fact that there is something in you that is allowing Brittany to come in and out of your life. And of course, on some level, it is because you love her. But I also believe that it's your attachment wound that continues to allow someone who's causing you so much pain to continue to be an active participant in your life. Now, I think that on some level, we meet people where we are, and that's why just like Brittany, it's time to start working on finding your own center. You know, where you flow through life and you know who you are. You don't allow other people to change you only because it happens to benefit them. You know how I began to find my center? I decided that I was going to wake up in the mornings and sit down at my kitchen table, and instead of listening to videos about why I wasn't good enough and how I needed to change and how to get my ex to actually have respect for me, I sat down, painted my nails, and decided to listen to videos that taught me how to have respect for myself. And you're gonna have to go out and get it for yourself because Brittany sure as hell ain't about to give you any respect in the near future. And if any of you out there are struggling gaining self-respect in these situationships, or you've been through a discard and you want to share your story with others, I'll put my Gmail in the description below. The difference between changing in a toxic relationship and changing in a healthy relationship is when you're in a long-term healthy relationship, over the years, people do grow. And you do change the way that you do things, and you change the way that you see a lot of things. And in these circumstances, it's good to check in with each other once in a while and maybe make some kind of a change. You acknowledge the changes. However, I would take it as a huge red flag if you begin dating someone and they almost immediately start telling you why you don't measure up and how you need to change. That's toxic. It's codependent behavior, and it is highly controlling. And please understand that just because you didn't find the one thing that would magically fix Brittany and all of her issues and her past and all of her life problems, that does not mean you failed. And it does not make you a failure. We can't help who we fall in love with. But love does not look like trying to give everything of yourself and do everything you can to make the other person happy all the time. It does not mean trying to be 2 steps ahead and thinking of every little thing you can do to give them every single little thing they want so they don't get upset. Loving someone means you accept them for who they are, flaws and all, and you do this as you both figure life out. We all have a past that has given us issues. But we use these life experiences. We go out into the dating world, and Jason, now you've learned red flags that you can look out for. Let's acknowledge that dating is a process of getting to know other people. Let's not rush so quickly into relationships and rush in so quickly that we can't take a step back for a moment and say, I know that we're attracted to each other, but welcome to the other half, where we know attraction is not just about looks. We also need to take care of the inner half, because sometimes you got to love yourself enough to say, well, it doesn't feel like your issues are going to jive with my idiosyncrasies, and it's too bad, but I guess it's not going to work out in the long run, because we all have issues. But you must ask the question, can we work around them and still continue to build each other up and build up this relationship? Or do our personal issues cause us to tear each other down and consistently beating into someone's mind how much they don't measure up? That is tearing someone down. Jason, when I was writing this video, I painted my nails with a polish that I called High Dive, because I am so glad that you are taking that first scary leap to block Brittany, and now you're reaching for an outside opinion. There is so much love to be had once we find our own center and we don't run around trying to fix problems for other people that, by the way, are perfectly capable of fixing for themselves. And if they don't know how to fix it, if a relationship with you is important enough to them, by golly, they will seek advice just like you are to figure it out. And not only that, well, it's more attractive when you don't run around trying to fix other people. People like people that have boundaries. I used to think that having boundaries was a bad thing because it would scare people away. But boundary only scares away people that are wrong for you. People who are looking to use you as a way to try to regulate their own emotions, or use you as a scapegoat when life isn't going exactly how they want. And Brittany's not acting like she even wants the relationship, because when you cherish things like relationships and people, you don't treat them like this. You don't act so recklessly. And it doesn't mean that Brittany doesn't have love for you, and it doesn't mean that Brittany doesn't deserve love as a human. But it does mean that it's time to look at the reality of the situation, and right now, Brittany is a human who's not willing to stick it out through the hard times with you. She's in a loop of bailing and coming back, and you are now in a loop of thinking, well, Brittany's only treating me badly because I did something wrong. You've also suggested that you guys go to therapy, but she refuses. She tells you that you just need to listen to her, and a therapist would tell you to do the same thing. Well, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't believe that any therapist would tell you to just be quiet and take all of your relationship advice from Brittany, because she's the one sabotaging her relationships and bailing. So essentially, Jason, she's saying that you keep your opinions to yourself and just follow everything that she instructs you to do blindly. Well, I've got to say, that's kind of like having an emotionally dysregulated drunk in the driver's seat, steering the car. I believe you both could benefit from some good advice. But whenever you have a person who wholeheartedly believes that their word is the end all, set in stone, the buck stops at their opinion, that can be really dangerous. None of us knows everything, and it's smart to do what you're doing. You're brave to share your story. I'm glad that you're exploring the idea of therapy, even if it's just for you. It helps to have people who are not as emotionally invested, because they can help you see things from a different angle. And part of the reason I love our community on this channel is because you can go into the comments. You can see experiences of other people who've gone through this with toxic partners, and you begin to recognize patterns of people who love bomb and discard others. And it helps you to realize that this is a personality pattern, and that way you don't take it so personally. On a side note, some guys say that women only want bad boys, but I think that what women want is men that are not okay with being mistreated for no reason. And I do believe that sometimes these women, their attraction to bad boys is a bit misguided because they see the bad boy and he's got this, cool aura around him. And what they're actually attracted to is someone who is not pretzeling themselves to contort to what the world thinks that they should be. It's their trauma also doesn't allow them to see the red flags, that it's not necessarily, this guy is not really a good, cool guy. He's actually a jerk and he's bad news. But you can be a good guy and not bend over to what everybody else wants at the same time. You can be a good person and still have a highly attractive quality of self-respect. And if you want to know how my friend Henry shocked everybody when he told an avoidant woman to politely pack sand, I'll put that video right here. Jason, I'm your biggest cheerleader today. It was so nice meeting you. My name is Maria Adriana. You did not have to live Jason's life, but I certainly hope you can learn something from it. As always, thank you for visiting the other half.